Well, I'm Jack Rakove. I've taught at Stanford University since 1980. I'm first and foremost a historian of the American Revolution and the origins of the Constitution. I've come to think that of all the institutions we have, particularly given the repeated deadlock in Congress, the presidency has become the most important of all. Partly, we live in a dangerous world, and for better or for worse, we need to have a vigorous national security state, and that creates all kinds of difficulties. Rulemaking has to be done somehow when Congress itself is paralyzed. And I think one of my big concerns is that when I look at the last three presidencies, it seems to me that there's been a concerted effort to delegitimate individual presidents, but its net effect may also be to delegitimate the very nature of executive power. For a long time, I've been, not that it matters that much, but going back to 2000, I've written a lot of op-eds and a couple articles and essays here and there arguing for having a national popular election, one person, one vote in the United States of America. And my initial rationale for that, originally my strongest rationale, was really the one person, one vote rule, that is the fundamental norm of modern democratic political justice, and votes should not have different weight depending on the accident of where they happen to be cast. But in the last few years, I think particularly during the Obama presidency, I've come to a second conclusion, which I'm now starting to think is even a more powerful conclusion. The first one I take, that's fairly straightforward, and the rationale for that I think is fairly obvious. But if you think about the last three presidencies and the next president, whoever it's going to be, the last three presidencies have all suffered from delegitimization efforts. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you think about Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Bush 43, and Barack Obama, for different reasons, virtually I think from the start of their presidencies, each faced opposition which really tried to deny that the occupant, the resident of the White House, was somehow legitimately there. I think in Bill Clinton's case, a lot of it was the old Slick Willie effect, the whole Whitewater thing, which in the end led exactly nowhere in terms of what happened, the whole futile impeachment campaign. The case of George W. Bush, the whole Bush-Gore thing, the whole question of Florida, the idea that that he did not have a national plurality or majority, that his gaining the White House relied upon having a 5-4 majority in the Supreme Court. I think that had a fairly significant effect. A lot of that was mitigated by the September 11th disaster, but it wasn't wholly destroyed. The case of Barack Obama, Obama's election, for me and I think for many of my generation, was a truly great moment in American history. I never thought I'd see an African-American president in the United States. And you can see it on 24, you can see it on TV dramas. Morgan Freeman plays a great president or whatever. But the idea of having an African-American political leader, I never thought I'd see it. That by itself was a great source of rejoicing. But obviously what's happened, and we see enormous amounts of controversy about this, is Obama has not moved us into a post-racial society. We know from the overtly racist opposition he's received for a long time, for better or for worse, arguably, certainly for worse, old racist prejudices are alive and well in American politics. So all three of those presidents suffered in different ways from efforts at their delegitimation. There's no doubt that whether Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton gets elected in November, the same thing's going to accompany the next presidency.